I read remarks you made about a phenomenon you called spiritual Americans. And you said we have to take that out of our discourse, and you argue for a Chinese discourse. Now, we have a similar phenomenon. We don't call it spiritual Americanism, but I think I know what you're talking about. But what is a spiritual American? What is a Chinese spiritual American?
No, it is amazing, you know. I have quite a few friends, American scholars, and they came to China from time to time, especially before COVID. And some of them told me, you know, even we, the Americans, believe that our country have gone wrong. The American dream was over. But it seems apparently the American dream was still shining with quite a group of Chinese intellectuals. That's the type of people, you know. They, somehow just can't believe so many things went wrong in the United States. When Donald Trump said each and every time in his major statements, America is a failing nation, these Chinese intellectuals did not believe, no. And literally they said, don't tell us this, you know. This is our homeland, our dream, our spirit, everything goes there. It's not that many, yet for all kinds of reasons, they prefer to stick to their views, and they still have some influence in the public sphere, in the media, yet their influence declined drastically. Yeah.
Are they also proponents, advocates of the paradigm, the democracy versus authoritarianism paradigm?
They are just basically they don't have their own, you know, independent thinking. They just copy neoliberalism. So when Fukuyama or Biden lost his power and Fukuyama lost his influence, so goes with neoliberalism and similar end of history thesis. Yet they were still dreaming, you know, that would be something true. So it's already outdated. Yeah.
You had a famous debate with Fukuyama many years ago.
Yeah.
But of course, and you're right to say that Fukuyama's end of history never came about. But he also, I would say, almost made a fool of himself by arguing a couple of days before the election, not only that Biden would win, but that he had a bottle of Venezuelan rum ready to celebrate the Kamala Harris, that Kamala Harris would win. And that, I think, was a reference to regime change in Venezuela that would be coming. And now we saw the Americans make immediate contact with Venezuela, and it's
that's true.
It doesn't look like the regime change is coming or is at the top of the agenda. What does that mean to you?
No, I gave an interview just not long ago in China. I was asked whether Fukuyama has changed his view, especially on end of history. I said, judging from his written pieces, things, say, the COVID, the Ukrainian crisis, and more, I said, no, he still stick to his own thesis of end of history, but he tried to explain this more subtly. Now, that's his tragedy in many ways, because he was somehow, you know, constrained immensely by this kind of limitation and his own creation. And as I said, Chinese philosophy is seeking truth from facts. You have to look at the facts and with vigor, rigorously examine these facts. That's why he often make romantic, if I may use this word, out of touch with reality, the kind of, you know, predictions, as you mentioned example just now.
But people like Fukuyama have just won Nobel Prizes arguing that eventually everyone has to become a Western type liberal democracy. It's the only way to be successful and to make friends and frighten your enemies. Do you think that? And a lot of people ridiculed that Nobel Prize. I'm, of course, referring to the famous book, The Economic. It's a Turkish economist who is now in the United States.
And I told Fukuyama in the year 2011, I said the Western liberal democracy, as it is today, is very much a short-term transitional phenomenon in the long human history. As a Chinese, as a citizen of a civilizational state, we have seen so much ups and downs in China's own history. And we know it's not the end of history. History is evolving, unfolding before our eyes. We're witnessing changes, as Xi Jinping said, unprecedented in hundreds of years of history. Actually, this Western model will decline inevitably because it has its, I call it genetic defects. And
what do you mean by genetic defects of the system?
Yes.
Okay.
For instance, I told Fukuyama this problem of blind belief in rational human beings. Human beings are not rational, especially with the involvement of money, involvement now the new social media, today AI. So being rational or keeping being rational becomes more and more uphill task. So this is one change. And also, especially in the West, this absolute right versus, because in the Chinese culture, rights and responsibilities must go hand in hand. If you only talk about rights, then the society, a modern society, cannot function. So all these are, I also told him, the Western democracy, American democracy will end up in very simple-minded, stupid populism. Yeah.
Well, not just populism, but you have a theory of why the leaders, the Western leaders, are weaker and weaker. Or please explain.
That's true.
In your words.
Because this so-called one person, one vote essentially became a show business rather than about performance, real performance, solid performance. It's how you act, how you use PR, how you recruit those, experts, media experts to present a good image rather than about the substance. And then it's about shortism rather than long-termism. So this is all the problem of the Western political system. I told the EU guy in Paris not long ago, I say, you look at this Green Deal, it's so much fanfare in EU and the stuff there goes there. I said, China already completed Green Deal, done, but you are still talking about this. So I said, you have to study Chinese model very carefully, how we do it. For EV vehicles, it's the result of 4-5-year plans, 20 years. So we became the leader in the EV in the world. Can the Western model do that? You talk about green revolution, is it possible? Very difficult.